breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during this great Vikings season so far by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2024 GMC Acadia and Sierra on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is Sam Bird, does a great job putting the show together with all these great highlights. A couple of lowlights in the second half yesterday, but lo and behold, the Vikings are 4-0, one of three unbeaten teams in the NFL going into the Monday night game where Seattle heads to Detroit. I expect after tonight, the Vikings will be one of two undefeated teams, along with the two-time Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. The Viking ship survived the treacherous second-half waters.
What a tale of two halves,
in
Jeff.
Green Bay. That's right, tale of two halves for sure. Vikings surged that 28-0 lead. Great on both sides of the ball. Darnold's hot. Addison back, scores 2 touchdowns. Jefferson making his big plays and presence felt. The defense stepping up. Jordan Love, who I thought they probably should not have started based on the way he started the game, but the way he finished the game, I think maybe they knew what they were doing with him. But he certainly had his troubles in the first half and really threw about 3 quarters until he got super hot in the fourth quarter, threw for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in that fourth quarter. But the Vikings still managed a big interception by Byron Murphy, a fumble recovery by Cam Bynum that Murphy also punched out, even though they had been picking on Murphy all game. And
what a play, by the way.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
That was, and just a great win. Will Reichert, again, making a clutch kick. Kevin O'Connell putting the game in Darnold's hands, but trusting that he would make the right throws and the right reads, which he did with Jefferson in single coverage on that really key drive with about 10 minutes to go, where that led to the field goal that got the Vikings back on track, up by 9 points. And then the turnovers helped to stem the tide down the stretch. A couple big catches by Jefferson on a couple other drives, and we're going to get to the highlights. But bottom line, Vikings 4-0 have navigated really through what I felt was the toughest part of their schedule, having beaten 3 playoff teams from last year, back-to-back-to-back, San Francisco, Houston, and Green Bay. Now they head to London, where they've never lost, and face the New York Jets. Great defense, third-ranked defense in the league. The offense is struggling, had 13 penalties in their loss to Denver at home. Aaron Rodgers had a rough game. Offensive line is struggling. Rodgers got hit 14 times and sacked 5 times. The Vikings defensive people will be salivating this week, Sam.
Yes, it's gonna be interesting for sure. I think it's funny because a lot of people are still underestimating the Vikings, even at 4-0, and I think when you look at their body of work through what used to be the first quarter of the season, they've beaten 2 teams in San Francisco and Houston that were favored to go to the Super Bowl by a lot of people, and then the Packers, who were, if I remember correctly, in the divisional round last year. So, I mean, this Vikings team has really, I think, shown its worth through these first 4 games. Yeah,
there's no question that they are right now one of the elite teams in the NFL, and you can see all these power rankings and all that the people are starting to recognize this team. They're finally favored over the Jets this week,
Finally.
Which they haven't been favored for the last 3 weeks. So it's, I think, a great position to be in, to be 4-0. Odds are they can be a playoff team, keep it going, stay healthy, maybe even get TJ Hawkinson back in the next couple weeks. Of course, the bye week comes after the Jets, then the huge game against the Lions at US Bank Stadium on October 20th. Hawkinson, would love to face his former team that caused him the injury last year.
Of course.
A lot of exciting football ahead. But first, let's look back on really a wild game. As you said, a tale of two halves in Green Bay. You get a win on the road in the division, the first divisional game. It's just huge. And to get that 31-29 win over the Packers on Sunday was momentous for this team to continue the momentum that they have established this year. So let's go to our highlights, courtesy of CBS. Kevin Harlan and Trent Green. First quarter, 11:59 to go. The initial drive by the Vikings, a big 3rd down and 14 completion to Jalen Naylor, sets up this touchdown pass to Jordan Addison coming back off a sprained ankle.
Darnold again with time, into the end zone, caught, touchdown, Jordan Addison.
Not an easy catch over the shoulder,
No, not at all.
and with the sun and whatever, but Addison obviously makes a big difference when he's in the lineup. He scored 2 touchdowns on Sunday. Just a excellent second receiver to Justin Jefferson, and Naylor now as one of the best number 3s in the league. The Vikings, that trio, they're in great shape. And later in the first quarter, a play-action pass from Darnold to Josh Oliver for a touchdown. This was set up by a big pass interference penalty that Justin Jefferson drew.
Getting the run game going has been important as well.
2nd and goal. Darnold to the air and caught for the touchdown. This by the tight end, Josh Oliver. His first this season.
And you can see the excellent pass protection on this play, and really throughout the first half, the Packers were able to ramp up the pressure in the second half on Darnold, but even still on that late drive where he drove him to the field goal, and even the drive where they got stalled at the 4-yard line on 4th and 1, it was still really good pass protection against a really strong front 7 for Green Bay. So, plus dealing with the crowd noise. Vikings up 14-0 at this point. Addison scores again on a 7-yard jet sweep. Watch the great move he puts on Keyshawn Nixon, and check out the great block by Justin Jefferson, unselfish player.
Jet sweep, Addison. Broke one, got a terrific block down there from Jefferson. It's a touchdown for the Vikings. And Jefferson, his fellow wide receiver, opened the door. It's 6 for Minnesota, and the lead is 20-0.
Yeah, and the extra point, 21-0 at that point. I think we were all a little bit shocked at the turn of events in that first quarter, early second quarter. At this point, that touchdown was set up by an interception by Camus Grugier-Hill, the guy who stepped in for Ivan Pace. Kevin O'Connell said today he expects Pace to return in London against the Jets from his injury. But Grugier-Hill, I think, will be still a guy that they're going to have on the field a lot. He's got 2 interceptions in 2 games as a starter.
Yes, playing at a very high level.
Yeah, he definitely is. Another one of those great free agent signings that the Vikings had in the offseason on defense. So the Vikings up 21-0 at this point. Shaq Griffin makes a big interception set up by a pressure from Blake Cashman and returns it to the Green Bay 4.
With the 1st and 10 for Jordan Love. High, intercepted, picked off on the play by Griffin. He gets a block from Harrison Smith. He takes it inside the 5.
And immediately following that, after a holding penalty, a touchdown pass, a fantastic throw from Darnold to Jefferson.
Absolute dime.
Darnold 9 of 12. Blocked by Jones to the end zone and caught! Jefferson! That is a touchdown! And for a second time, they have gone at the replacement of Alexander. They've gone at Corey Ballantyne.
Yeah, it didn't hurt the Vikings that Jair Alexander, their Pro Bowl cornerback in Green Bay, was out in this game with a quad injury after he'd done a lot of talking about taking out Jefferson, doesn't even play. So lo and behold, Vikings up 28-0 at this point. Then unfortunately, Brandon Powell gets kind of clobbered on a route, the ball thrown a little behind him. He has to exit the game for a little bit. He came back, but it put Jalen Naylor in as a punt returner. He muffs a punt looking into the sun. In the last 30 seconds of the first half, he never should have fielded the punt at all.
Never should have put his hands up.
No, exactly. And so that set up the Packers for a touchdown, which you thought, up 28-7 at the half. He's still in pretty good shape, but didn't want to open that door like they did in that point. And then in the third quarter, Sam Darnold threw a pick. Great play by Xavier McKinney, the NFL interception leader. But check out, did he really have possessed the ball? I don't think so.
I don't either. Let's take a look.
To his Packers fans.
He's had runs of 16 and 9 on this drive. Second down, 1. Darnold. Again deep and picked off. Intercepted. For a 4th time in 4 games, McKinney.
Yeah, when you look at the replay, you could see he really didn't. He was bobbling the ball when he was going out of bounds. I couldn't believe the officials didn't overturn that one. Really bad decision by Vinovich, the referee. But the Packers got a break there, and then they started launching their comeback. And before we get to that eventful fourth quarter, let's talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. It's time to take the field in an SUV that's designed to be unstoppable in every pursuit. That's the all-new 2024 GMC Acadia. From its reimagined interior to its bold, capable exterior, Acadia is suited up so you can make winning drives wherever they may lead. Whether it's at home or away, your team will enjoy the ride in comfort with 3 rows of spacious seating for 7. Plus, Acadia comes standard with other winning features like heated front seats, remote start, and a 2.5-liter engine with a GM estimated 328 horsepower. Or take yours to the championship level with available amenities like a panoramic sunroof or an off-road tuned suspension. Don't sit on the sidelines any longer. Test drive your new 2024 GMC Acadia today, available now at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers. So into the fourth quarter we go. Still feeling okay, but here comes Jordan Love heating up. I think that the Vikings pass rushers were getting tired in that late September heat in Lambeau Field, and just from being amped up throughout the game, and all of a sudden he's got time to throw, and he's hitting his targets, and begins to come back with this 6-yard touchdown pass to Dontavian Wicks.
That's Dobbs. Block by Wilson. Touchdown. It's grabbed there by Dontavian Wicks.
And that was one of the few botched coverages you've seen by the Vikings secondary this year, where both Metellus and Griffin went with the wide receiver and let the other side and let Wicks cut inside on them. At this point, 28-14, then a disaster play where Sam Darnold is stripped by Nixon on a blitz. Packers immediately, again, come back and score. All of a sudden, they go for 2. It's a 28-22 game with 10 minutes to go. And thinking about that Vikings comeback against the Colts a couple years ago when they were down 35-0. To their credit, the Vikings gathered themselves and were able to make a big drive and come up with the key field goal in order to kind of reverse the momentum in the game. They take the lead 31-22. Talk for a second about Will Reichard, the rookie kicker. He's been great this year. He's now 20 for 20 on kicks, 6 for 6 on field goals. It's only a 33-yarder, but it's still a clutch kick in the fourth quarter of a game to put you up by 9. And his counterpart, Narveson, misses 2 field goals in this game, which was really big, as it turns out, of course. With 6:20 to go in the fourth quarter, Jordan Love, pressured by Harrison Smith on a blitz. Vikings put some pressure on Love in this game with blitzes, and Harrison's coming, and here comes an interception, one of the easier ones Byron Murphy's ever going to have.
Linebacker dropping. If you can hit that soft spot, good arm strength there by
Smith with the blitz. Love going deep. Intercepted by Murphy.
That was easy, and that was big and helped the Vikings because the ensuing drive, actually that was the ensuing drive when the Vikings responded with the field goal by Reichard that was set up by 2 big completions, 17 and 27 yards to Jefferson, where Darnold had an option to throw or run the ball with Aaron Jones or Ty Chandler. Chose to pass because Jefferson's in single coverage. Gutsy calls, makes the big throws. Vikings move down the field. Then 4:08 to go. Here's a really important play in the game. This was Jefferson's sideline catch with 4:08 left. The Vikings are at that point still up by 9 points, but they're trying to drain the clock and force the Packers to take timeouts. This is a third down play, and it's 3rd and 12. And here's Jefferson making an unbelievable catch, which is not so unbelievable for him. The officials didn't think he caught, and had to go to replay review on a great challenge by O'Connell.
Green Bay brings the blitz in 5. And on the side, they're going for Jefferson in front of Stokes. And the catch stays out of bounds. I think that's a challenge.
Right foot in, left foot drags.
That's a catch.
Just phenomenal. What a player he is, and just making great plays, whether it was a blocking play in the run when he set up Addison's touchdown, or as a receiver with 6 catches, 80-plus yards and the touchdown. He's had a touchdown in every game this year. Justin Jefferson off to a really good start. Vikings win it 31-29, able to finish the game with an onside kick recovery by Josh Oliver. Even at that point, you're still a little nervous because it had just been such a gut grind in that fourth quarter, and didn't want to blow this game and had that big lead early. But the Vikings find a way to emerge victorious, 4-0, off to this fantastic start. Aaron Jones, we talked about. I think one of the things that the Vikings have to be careful about, Sam, with Aaron Jones, he had a lot of playtime in this game, which is understandable because he's returning to his old team, Lambeau Field, a lot of emotion he had, but he played 82% of the snaps in this game. Ty Chandler only played 12%, 6% with no running back. And that's not the formula that they want to keep Aaron Jones healthy in December and January, and dare we say in February. So I think you'll see more of a sharing of play time going forward. This was kind of maybe an outlier to a certain extent. But here in the locker room, a really cool moment, I thought, with Kevin O'Connell giving out a game ball.
All right, the most important one. This guy's changed our team. This guy's changed our organization. All right, I was willing to drive up wherever I had to in this place to come get this guy out of here and make him a Minnesota Viking. This gives me great joy, Mr. Aaron Jones.
Hey, I really appreciate y'all. This means the world to me. I really want to challenge us. How great can we be? We've seen adversity. We've seen it all. Let's keep pushing ourselves. Let's keep challenging ourselves. We haven't done nothing yet.
Now, I beg to differ when he says we haven't done nothing yet, because they've done a lot.
Right.
And O'Connell kind of preaches that same thing, like nothing that's happened so far really matters. Well, it does, because when you stack wins in September, it puts you in a really good position going forward, especially when you've navigated the toughest part of their schedule. But obviously the point he's making is we can't rest on our laurels as we head to London and face the Jets this week with their dangerous defense. And Aaron Rodgers, who can get hot, hasn't been real hot this year so far. Let's hear from O'Connell in his post-game media session.
Well, on our way kind of into our post-game day today, we need to have a tight turnaround just with everything coming up this week with our trip later in the week and a really tough opponent coming up. But a lot of positives out of the game yesterday. A lot of things that we can all do better. Starts with me, and we'll keep on working to do that. But I do like where our football team's at. Proud of the way we were able to go get a win in the NFC North on the road. And also pretty pleased with the fact we came out relatively in good health and hoping to have IP back this week. So he was close to being able to make it, and should progress as the week goes on, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. There's a lot of things to highlight: offense, defense, and special teams, but I'll let you guys fire away.
I think a couple of things to point out from the game that kind of struck me. The offensive line, I mentioned before, the Vikings offensive line going against a really good front seven in Green Bay. Darnold only got hit 3 times, and he was sacked twice in this game, whereas the Vikings hit Love 10 times and sacked him once. So very good pass protection overall against a really formidable group. The Vikings defense in run defense against the number one running offense coming into the game did a great job. Then they got the big lead, which kind of forced the Packers out of their run game to a certain extent, but held them to 86 yards for the game to a team that was averaging over 200. That was huge. Blake Cashman, I think he's having an all-pro season. He's the Vikings' leading tackler, had another 11 tackles in the game at Lambeau, along with a couple quarterback hits and a tackle for loss. We know Murphy, the Packers were targeting him on defense, but he came up with two big takeaways at the end of the game that we talked about. I also think it's a good thing, Sam, that this Vikings team faced some adversity in this game, which they did to a certain extent in the San Francisco game, but kind of blew out the Giants and the Texans. And here on the road against your divisional opponent, be able to kind of gather yourself when things are unraveling and come up with that big drive for the field goal in the late minutes of the game. I think that will pay dividends down the road for them, that they know they can respond in difficult situations.
Yeah, especially in that hostile environment. And
right.
I think the 49ers game is interesting because really there was that big swing with Jones had the goal line fumble. I think, we forget about that. This one, the Packers really put together, they made some adjustments and they really put together a pretty good second half. Like we said from the top, it was a tale of two games. And I think LaFleur, to his credit, did some things that the Vikings maybe weren't ready for in the second half. I think Jordan Love played a little bit better. But really, you're right. The Vikings really overcame an interesting game on the road in a tough divisional game.
Yeah, definitely true. And I think that, as I said, is going to help them down the road because they're going to have tough games. We know that. That's the way it works. Aaron Jones, we saw him get the game ball, and here he is talking about the win and how good are the Vikings.
You'll go in, you'll have a good game, but you won't score, but you guys will come out with the W. I would say, hey, that's what I'm here for. So at the end of the day, as long as we win, it doesn't matter who's putting the points up on the board as long as the points are being put up.
As someone who's been on a lot of good teams, how good do you think this team is?
I think this team is really good, but at the same time, never too high, never too low. I think we have a good understanding of that, and just putting one foot in front of the other and continue to stack success. That's what's gotten us here before anybody was talking about us or giving us a shot. We believed in ourselves, so just continue to do that. And the reason we can do that is because of the work that we've been able to put in our preparation.
Before we hear from Sam Darnold and Byron Murphy and kind of go around the NFL from Sunday's games, and let's hear from our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR for 36 months on GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your local GMC dealer today. Monthly payment is $28.16 for every $1,000 you finance. Average example down payment 15%. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
Here's Sam Darnold talking about another win, and he is now the NFL's passer rating leader at 118.9. Who saw that coming before the season? He also leads the NFL with 11 touchdown passes.
Would have loved to, have a little bit better second half, third quarter especially. But, the way that we were able to finish that out, with that long drive and then, having them, having to kick an onside kick, to be able to get the ball back, that's the position that we want to be in at the end of the game, but a lot to learn from overall as an offense.
Sam, just on the drive where you were able to go up by 2 scores, Aaron was just saying that you were kind of reminding guys, hold on to the ball and one play at a time. I guess what was your mentality going into that drive, and why were you able to execute?
Yeah, I think that's just it. I think it's, you got to have that mindset. You can't think about what might happen or what has happened, them coming back. You always got to continue to have that mindset of just, one step in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. And, as long as we continue to have that mindset as an offense, as a whole team, I feel like we'll be all right.
What a story. He might be the best story in the NFL this year so far.
He has to be in the front running for comeback player of the year. I mean, the stats he's putting up this year are unbelievable.
Yeah, and MVP.
And MVP.
You got to put him in both conversations. We're only at the quarter pole, but hey, it's a phenomenal start for Sam Darnold, for the Minnesota Vikings. Byron Murphy, we talked about, the Packers kind of targeted him, went after him, but he did come up with 2 big turnovers in this game. And here's the Vikings corner.
Oh, he didn't go out of bounds. I knew he was going to cut back, so I just said, let me throw a little punch in there because Coach Hat always on me during practice to, try to get the ball out. So that was in my mind as soon as he cut back, just to throw a punch at the ball and try to get it out. And obviously the ball came out.
In the secondary, their Packers passing game in the second half, did you see a difference from the first half?
I would just say, they came out, they had to throw the ball. That was the biggest thing, being up, they got to come out and throw the ball. That was the biggest thing, just knowing, they're going to come out there, try to get the ball down the field and all those things.
How good is the depth of the secondary, especially with the additions?
The additions is great. Obviously, we got some guys that got a lot of experience in this league, a lot of reps in this league. And just to have them on our side, it's a blessing.
On the interception, do you think Jordan just kind of threw that up? It would look like you were running the route for it.
I didn't believe he was going to throw that, but hey, the ball was in the air, kept my eyes on the ball, and wants to go make the play.
A good day for Kevin O'Connell. Won a bunch of challenges. That's always good. Matt LaFleur did not have such a good day. Also got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. But the Vikings emerged victorious. Other games around the NFC North, the Bears held off the Rams 24-18 in Chicago. Caleb Williams finally didn't turn the ball over. DeAndre Swift had 165 combined yards. And the Bears defense forced 2 Stafford turnovers. Kansas City stayed unbeaten atop the AFC West, 17-10 over the Chargers, but may have lost Rashee Rice with an ACL. Some other big games, Baltimore crushed Buffalo, gave the Bills their first loss. Big win, Derrick Henry, wow. Did you see that 87-yard touchdown? He's running away from all these DBs at 30 years old.
I can't believe he got away from Tennessee. Unbelievable.
Yeah, 199 yards rushing, 87-yard touchdown. Jaden Daniels, hot rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders. They're leading the NFC East at 3-1 after the Eagles got crushed again in Tampa Bay like they did in the playoffs last year. Nick Sirianni is one of the coaches on the hot seat in Philly now with the Eagles off to a 2-2 start and not playing well, with Jalen Hurts struggling and turning it over. The Bucs are going to be at the Falcons this week on Thursday night. That's a big game. Atlanta had a big win over New Orleans on a 58-yard walk-off field goal.
Unbelievable.
And next week, the Bears will host Carolina. The Packers are at the Rams. And the Vikings, of course, and the Jets, while Detroit's on their bye week after their Monday night game against Seattle. So we're going to be back on Thursday to preview the Jets game. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. The Jets come in with the number 1 pass defense in the league and probably the best corner in the league in Sauce Gardner, who will be glued to Justin Jefferson in this game. But I think the Vikings have found a way to work through that and figure out how to get the ball to Addison, get the ball to Naylor, Aaron Jones, Chandler, and they still find a way to scheme Jefferson open even against single coverage. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. The Jets have the 3rd-ranked defense. Their offense is a mess right now. Had so many penalties in the loss to Denver. They're 2-2, but I think disappointing coming off that home loss to the Broncos. They have the 23rd ranked offense. Aaron Rodgers was hammered in this game. He was limping at the end of the game. As I said before, 5 sacks, 14 hits he took. The Vikings defensive linemen and the whole pass rush group, they'll be salivating looking at that tape and looking forward to facing their old rival, Aaron Rodgers, this week. So this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2024 GMC Acadia and Sierra on 1500 ESPN. Available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with Sam Bird. We will talk to you on Thursday as we preview the Vikings and Jets in jolly old England.